good win versus a really good team. I think there's a ton of respect for Campbell and their program and their coaching staff. And it's really, the players, there's a really good team, and so excited about that win for us. That's a big win, especially coming off of 2 losses. I wish we could come in here and talk about the 40-minute game, but, we have a lot to grow, and we gotta learn and understand that it's not a 33-minute game. I think we had a 22-point lead with 6:48 to go, and we end up winning by 10 with fouling, et cetera, down the stretch. But that's really where the focus was in the locker room, and a little disappointed about that because it really should have been about a 40-minute complete game. But at the same token, we're going to learn from this. A lot of guys that were in the game late, they were either playing in high school or AAU this time last year, or were in games when the game had been decided already and they weren't part of maybe building that or being part of that first 35, 34 minutes. So something that we can learn from, and win or lose, we have to find a way to get better, and that's where the focus will be in terms of that.
All right, questions?
Coach, you were pretty confident in your team's ability to kind of bounce back, respond from the 2-game spell. What kind of gave you that confidence, and do you feel like they kind of met the challenge tonight?
Yeah, I really do, and I was very proud of the guys when we talked about that. Just that they came in with a very good mindset, an open and locked-in mindset when we watched the film of the South Carolina State game and we started prep immediately for Campbell. They're a very good offensive team, and so we started some prep right away the next day on Wednesday. The film room came out. We had 1 day of prep on the court Thursday, and then we had our shoot-around today. So for those guys to be locked into a unique system and a very good offensive team, I think Campbell in their last game had 80, scored over 80 points in the game. And so we knew it, and our guys were mentally, they were locked into it. And then from the other side of it was, we really, since the South Carolina State game, from the locker room until just now, from the end of the locker room after the loss to right now, we talked about, guys, all we want to put everything in the next 3 days is maximum effort in terms of what we do as a team, defensive intensity and execution, so the game plan and our defensive intensity and our rebounding execution. And that's it. And I said, we trust what we're doing on offense, but we're going to be fine there, but we have to make sure that those 3 things, win, lose, or draw, are at the highest level when we step on the court to play Campbell.
It looked like you guys were just passing the ball a bunch, like really making sure to share the ball. Was that an emphasis?
What they do with emphasizing what needs to be done on both sides of the ball, and whether it was the preparation for guarding them or specifically their defense. They're a very gap-oriented team, and that's why Javon had 5 turnovers outside of that late turnover versus the press. When you play a gap-oriented team that's really sitting in there, you got to understand that you can't get in there. They're not going to let you get where you want to go. You're going to have to keep moving the basketball and try and create some rotations with that movement that you spoke of. And Javon was getting in those gaps and trying to put the ball behind his back or trying to change directions. And there's too many hands down there. Now you've got 2-3 guys loaded up to the ball with this type of defense. So the emphasis going in was get that ball moving, get him moving. And that's maybe where you could find a crease where you could throw the ball inside. But if you just thought you were going to get downhill into the paint just off an isolated drive, it wasn't going to happen. So we really emphasized the last 2 days during the offensive portions of practice, moving the basketball, popping it around.
Ezra Azar got the star. He had some really great moments tonight. How did you feel about his performance tonight, getting the start?
Yeah, first start in college. I'm sure that's exciting for him. And we spoke the night after he scored 18 that night, and obviously he had a nice offensive game, but the team result wasn't it. And, we talked a little bit that evening, and it said, Ezra, that for him to continue to grow as a player, he has to forget about that right away. And I give Ezra so much credit for this reason. Ezra hasn't played as much as he wanted to up to this point. Like all players, they want more, and I got great respect for that. But what Ezra has never done is ever held his head down. He's never had a poor attitude. He's kept an incredible attitude. In fact, he has tried to seek out coaches, myself, to watch more film individually, do things like that, where prior to him having that game, he did that after games he didn't play a lot, or after games he didn't play well. So I just give Ezra so much credit for his mindset to stay humble, stay hungry as he's trying to get on the court. And tonight, we'll look at the tape, and there's things he should have done better tonight. He knows he can't get his shot blocked at the rim that many times. And he understands that, and he's going to work on it, but he's the first to say it. And defensively, we really trust Ezra in terms of his defensive versatility. So, I'm proud of Ezra.
Could you tell during shoot around today that RJ was going to come out here and shoot the ball like he did, 7 for 10 from three-point land? He provided a huge spark today for you guys.
If I could tell that at shoot around, I'd be probably coaching in the big boy league up in the NBA if I knew how to predict that. No, you know what? But I tell you, RJ, every day, RJ is locked in. He really is. Every day. And it doesn't, whether he makes mistakes or doesn't make mistakes or makes shots or doesn't make shots, he's locked into the team focus and what we're trying to do. And he had great energy today. He had great energy yesterday, but he had great energy the day of the South Carolina State shoot-around. He's a consistent person. And that's what I love so much about RJ. And to be honest with you, the only play I remember at one point was the shot he didn't contest late game. And that's the one. But after thinking about RJ through the game and looking at the stat sheet, he was dynamic on offense, but he earns every minute of it because of how he does everything. The way he carries himself, the way he works in the classroom, the way he works in practice, the way he works on his own. I think he has earned, a successful game like that.
Coach, for Javon to almost have a double-double without making a shot, does that just show you how much he can affect a game without scoring? And also, does that kind of maybe show how defenses are paying attention to him a little bit more?
100%. We talked about that with Javon, that every game, as more film is out there, and so that target gets a little bigger on us because they know he's a really good player. He's a really good point guard. But what I think about that is that's a true point guard line right there. To have 9 points out of 9 of 9 from the free throw line, 11 assists, what do you have, 4 rebounds or so? I think, or 6 rebounds, 6. He's, inching towards a triple-double without making a field goal. That is a real, he controlled the game from a point guard perspective. And that's what we would call it, that he really had a great floor game in terms of all aspects as a point guard. And he did. 9 of 9 from the free throw line. When we were obviously struggling late game, he made the free throws that were really important for us. But he's the first to say in that locker room, he knows late game, some of those turnovers, some of those things, great point guards, he knows he holds himself to a high standard that he doesn't want to do that. And he will fix that. We will fix that as a team.
Got to ask about the moment with Quentin. He had the baseline drive. Is that just kind of a teaching moment as far as awareness, or kind of what do you see on that play?
Quentin is a really selfless player. He is not a selfish player at all on offense. He really plays the right way all the time. The last few days, in the last couple games, myself and the staff have really challenged him defensively. And sometimes when you challenge someone so much on defense, he did the right thing. He took his mind off offense. But you have to know when you're wide open at the rim. That was an innocent mistake. That was something he wasn't, awareness, not whatever you want to call it. It was nothing, you give that ball to Quentin 10 out of 10 times, he's going to dunk the basketball. But you combine the fact that we've really been challenging him defensively, and let's be honest, the truth is he's not in the starting lineup for the first time all year. His minutes aren't probably what he wanted them to be. Sometimes you can get in your own head that way. And that play probably would be an example of that.